How to not end up poor or bankrupt this year. How many of you can stand up and affirmatively say, I am completely financially secure? If your income source was, let's say, unexpectedly cut off, would you have enough money to sustain yourself for the next 2 years or more? It's really unfortunate what's happening in the world with the current ongoing pandemic. But if the pandemic extends for another year, where will you be financially? These are the tough questions we need to ask ourselves every day. If you found yourself uncertain with some of the answers to those questions, then you better pay keen attention to what I'm going to tell you. In fact, grab a pen and paper. You will need to take notes. 10. Analyze your current financial situation. Here's where the hard questions come in. You need to be completely honest with yourself. You need to list down exactly how much you earn, all your long-term and short-term debt, and all the expenses. The very first step to financial freedom is financial consciousness. Just like in business, where you should always know your numbers, in life, you should be 100% aware of all the money that comes in and goes out. What you need to do is grab a book that will be just for your finances, or open a folder on your computer to store this data. Make sure you note down your true financial situation and be as honest as possible. Once you've done this, you can then proceed to the next step. 9. Evaluate your spending. The next step is to look at what and where you spend your money on. This step will require you to monitor your expenditures for the next 3 months. And I know it sounds difficult and might be a bit boring. I get it. No one wants to keep a record or much less start noting down what they spend on every day for 90 days. But once you start and build momentum, believe it or not, it actually gets easier. The first few weeks will be tiresome, but after a while, it will be etched into your everyday life. And soon, you won't be able to spend a dime without noting it down. Once you have completed recording what you spend on for 90 days, you will then be able to clearly identify unhealthy trends in your expenditure. Perhaps you spend too much on coffee, or you unnecessarily buy shoes that you don't need, or have a partner who takes up too much of your income. Look at each and every item on your spending list and ask yourself if it is really necessary. And by necessary, I mean you can survive without it. For example, you can definitely survive without a new phone this year, or upgrading your television, but you can't survive without groceries. Once you've evaluated everything on the list, create a new list with only the essentials. This will be your new guide for spending. And now, here's the caveat. You can't spend anything above what is on the list. As a matter of fact, the only alterations you can make is spending less. Some steps could be taken at this point, such as moving into a smaller home, skipping vacation, selling your expensive car in exchange for a cheaper one, and also selling other depreciating assets, such as your boat, if you own one, or any unnecessary items. Also, I like the idea of applying Jay-Z's rule on money, which says, if you can't buy it twice at a go, then you can't afford it. Instead of saving up for a $40,000 car, why don't you buy a $20,000 car and save the rest, or put the rest into a more useful fund? Another priceless tip is to only splurge big on items or assets that appreciate in value. Don't buy the creme de la creme of TVs or a $3,000 suit. It won't make you any money. Instead, consider saving your money and putting it somewhere else, such as maybe in your retirement account. 8. Create a vision board. I know this is so cliche, and you've probably heard this 5 million times already, if not 10 million. But everybody needs direction. Consider it as your very own GPS. And that's exactly what a vision board will be for you. It's one of the single most important steps you can make towards improving your financial status and well-being. And at the same time, it should help you avoid going off track. This vision board should highlight where you would want to be in the next 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years. Be as realistic as possible, but don't fall short on your vision. If you want a $10 million home, write it down there. If you want your dream car, put it there. If you want to have your dream life, put it there. You may not get it in a year or two, but it would be realistic to place a 5-year or more timeline on it. Once you've created one, make sure you place it where you can see it often, so that it will constantly remind you of your dreams. 7. Pay off debts. Now that you have a vision board, a spending guide, and you are now fully aware of your financial situation, you should go ahead and start paying your debts. There are 2 approaches to this. You can first start by paying the less expensive debts, or alternatively, you can start by tackling the more expensive debts first. It all depends on who you are, and you have to be very self-aware here. If you're one of those people who tend to need constant motivation, then you should start with the less expensive debts first, because clearing them faster will give you momentum and inspiration to continue. If you are, however, self-motivated, and you're one of those people who once their mind is set on something, they have to accomplish it, then start with the big debts first. So, when deciding which debt to start paying off first, you should consider the amount of the loan and its interest rates. Bigger loans with higher interest rates are the expensive loans, and smaller loans with low interest rates are the inexpensive ones. So when you're deciding which ones to start paying off first, it really depends on you as an individual. But keep in mind, debt isn't entirely bad. Debt is what determines your credit score. If you don't borrow money, you won't have a criteria on which to rank your credit score, so you may end up with a low credit score, which could inhibit you from borrowing in the future. The most important aspect of debt is how you manage it and what you use that money for. If you're borrowing money to finance a house, that's entirely fine, because the house will appreciate in value and offset the interest rate. In short, don't borrow money to spend on things that don't appreciate in value, and always stay up to date with your payments. 6. Start growing your savings account. Ensure at least 10% or even better 20% of your income goes to a savings account with substantial returns. It's important for you to start saving as soon as possible. As far as I know, saving is the best way to start building up a good reserve of money, which you can later use to invest in other high ROI investments. So, one of the best things you can do for your finances is to set up automatic withdrawal systems, where once money hits your account, it is immediately transferred to a savings account. If you are looking for financial peace of mind, then saving is absolutely crucial. However, make sure your savings account is an interest-earning account. Search for accounts with high interest rates so you get back more than what you put in. 5. Increase income streams. Look for ways to increase your income. This may include taking up another job, starting a new business, or doing freelancing gigs over the weekend. The goal here is to find ways to supplement your current income. You can't afford to work less than 10 hours a day unless you have an underlying medical condition or a baby to take care of. To be honest, people waste a lot of time in their 20s and 30s doing trivial things. If you ask any elderly person, they'll tell you endless stories of how they wish they worked harder and took more risks in their youth. So working hard and saving as much as you can is paramount for a happy life in your lean years. 4. Involve a professional. Once you have some savings and your expenses are in check, you can now involve a professional. This step is not entirely necessary, but it could potentially be a game changer. Getting general financial advice from videos, books, or magazines is great, but a financial professional will give you tailor-made advice specifically for your needs. When seeking financial advisors, before you contact any of them, do a background check and research their credibility, preferably on LinkedIn, or talk to some of their previous clients. You should consider getting referrals from friends and family and picking someone in your city or in your local area. 3. Get a proper insurance. The Affordable Care Act has granted high-quality health care for many Americans, but 23 states have not expanded their Medicaid programs yet to cover adults within the poverty levels. If your government won't help you in acquiring high-quality medical care, then you'd better get it yourself. Approach different insurance companies and get quotes and features of the different plans. Select the plan that covers the most illnesses. While they may be slightly more expensive, it will save you a lot of money in the future. Also, if you own any property or assets, ensure you get it insured. Accidents such as fires could cripple your finances and get you in heavy debt if you don't have insurance. Additionally, get yourself a life policy, which will be paid to your dependents in case you pass on, or if you're unable to continue working for whatever reason. 2. Change your mindset. The game of handling and growing money is complicated. It requires discipline, routines, and strict measures. It requires you to no longer view money in the same light. Once you've acquired a foothold on your finances, don't let any silly mistakes set you back. You have to make permanent life changes. Set up an emergency fund so that you don't revert into the same situations as you were in before. Exercise self-control every single day and constantly research new opportunities to grow your wealth. And always remember, financial wellness begins in your mind. 1. Improve your skill set. Invest in your education. When you know more, you will be in a better position to apply for better jobs, in better positions, or even do better for your business. Also, with a better skill set, employers will find it difficult to retrench you. Go to your HR department and find out if there are any education benefits within your organization. You may find out your company could be willing to pay for that degree upgrade. If not, set aside some money to learn new skills or take professional courses. Attend seminars and networking events to grow your network. They say your network is your net worth for a reason. If you do all this, you won't be in the same position in the next year or two. Many people have changed their financial situation and even become financially secure by following these simple rules. Try them, then share your story in the comments once it works out for you. Thank you so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. If you haven't subscribed yet, you are missing out on a lot of great content. Do yourself a favor and hit the subscribe button, and also tap the bell notification icon so you never miss any of our future videos. With that said, you guys, have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.